another episode of the I Learned podcast. So glad you're here. I'm so happy to welcome you into this space, this joyful space of learning and expanding and clarifying and understanding all of these things. I've been swimming in yet another topic, which, as you know, this is an episode called Life Path Numbers, and I've never mentioned life path numbers on this podcast before. I know that because I have never dove. I can never dove. I never went into life path numbers before. So I'm gonna take a second and go through this foundation first of what is a life path number and kind of lay a little bit of groundwork here as a general idea. And then really what I'm excited to do, probably an episode I'll make even yet today, and eventually do the rest of them, but make an individual episode for life path 6. That is my life path number, so that is obviously where I started when I started studying life path numbers. And I think it's fascinating that, spoiler alert, if you've been listening around this karmic relationship that I have with my cousin / business partner, I found out today that he is also a life path 6. So we're both life path 6s, and I had already done all of this work to learn about my life path 6 and loving it and seeing myself in this light, and I'm just glowing and I'm so happy and excited. And then I pulled a bunch of different people's life path numbers because all you need is your birth date. We'll get to all those details here in a little bit, but I pulled a whole bunch of people's life path numbers, and his is also a life path 6. Also, though, another reason that I want to do an episode specifically on life path 6, I've talked a little bit about this, but for the last several months, I've been offering readings to people over Zoom online, and mostly using natal charts historically. But as I learn human design and this now, life path numbers, I'll be expanding all the tools that I use in those readings. But anywho, I updated it to where I'm only doing packages, so extended engagements with people. So committing to at least 4 sessions of let's really get into this. Let's dive into it and see what we can figure out and see what aha moments we can find if we really dive a little bit deeper than just what we can accomplish in one session. I had done single sessions for about 6 months and wasn't feeling the substance there that I really was reaching for, and updating my practice to only be operating on these extended engagements where I'm not doing one-off sessions. I'm only doing work with people who want to dive deeper. Talk about you're satisfying. It's wow, best decision ever. And so my first client on those extended engagements, she committed to 4 sessions, and then she re-upped for 4 more sessions. And then my second person to sign up for an extended engagement, she bought 4 sessions. Both of them, my 2 customers that I've had so far, both life path 6s. And I know they both listen to this podcast. Hello to you both. You know exactly who you are. And that is why my very next episode, I already have the notes written, will be on life path 6. So look for that. And I also, as I pulled everybody's life path number, you know how I do, so it's human design all over again, natal charts all over again. I can't just understand mine. I have to understand mine in context of everybody that I know. So I pulled, call it 20 life path numbers for people who are important people in my life. That's how I figured out my clients, my business partner, that we're all 6s. I'm wow, that's really interesting. Another pattern that I saw was that my mom and 2 of my brothers and Dolly's mom and that brother that is so we're on life path 1, I guess. Let me say it that way. Life path 1 has my mom, Jake, Sam, which are 2 of my brothers, Dolly's mom, Dolly's my girlfriend, Dolly's mom, and Jake's girlfriend. So Jake and Kelsey, they're both life path ones. And I've talked on this podcast before, I've done shadow work around witnessing the bond that my mom has with Kelsey. Like it's such a natural, easy connection that they have. And I feel like I'm like a tad bit jealous of their relationship compared to my relationship with my mom. And so that really clarified that as well, to get to see that like, oh, maybe that is the very natural connection that they have with each other. The other pattern that I saw was one of my brothers, I feel like I have a karmic relationship with. And it's fascinating because his life path number is 3. And my creative assistant that I hired as I expanded into my spiritual business, she's also a 3. And my friend that I've talked about again on this podcast around the shadow work that I've done with my friend, that I kind of cut off that relationship earlier, kind of at the beginning of this year. She's also a 3, and my childhood best friend, who I was like friends again, kind of on again, off again, throughout our childhood, and then really parted ways after high school. She's also a 3. So I feel like I have like, I already knew that I have this karmic relationship with Ross, my brother, and he's a 3. But seeing this list of people, it really makes me wonder, like, do I have a karmic relationship with life path number 3, period? Because I seem to attract life path 3s, and these relationships, I mean, Maddie is my creative assistant, and her and I's relationship is very new, and I can't wait to talk to her about this. But seeing the other names on this list, these relationships have prompted massive healing for me and movement forward on my evolutionary path. And these life path 3s that I'm looking at, they have this ability to really poke buttons that are deeply rooted within me that like other people in this list like just don't. So yeah, life path 3, it's like an interesting list of people that are collected in this life path 3 list. There's kind of same thing happening on life path 5. These are also friendships that played an important role at their time, but eventually played their course, as far as like what I can tell, as far as like I don't really keep these friendships anymore. But that they really greatly, deeply inspired me. And so looking at the list of people on that list. And then I see life path 7 is my dad and Dolly. Whoa. And like that makes so much sense because like I always knew, none of my brothers are my dad's son, like a son that just naturally follows in your footsteps and looks up to you and like is basically wired the same. Like one of my brothers is I guess better at getting along with my dad than the others, but none of them are like him per se. And so to see that Dolly and my dad are both, life path 7s, like I thought that was fascinating. That like, because I already have told her a couple of times, I'm like, it really seems like you're like the son my dad never had. And he's got 3 sons, mind you, but she is just like him, like they just speak the same language. And where I have miscommunications with Dolly sometimes, and I have lots of miscommunications in my history with my dad. And so that was really fascinating. And, also, there will be way more about this in the episode on Life Path 6, but I looked up compatibility between Life Path 6 and all of the other numbers to see like what numbers are better suited, and specifically wondering about life path 7 since I'm dating a life path 7. And it was like it's an unusual and uncommon pairing where you're likely to create a love-hate relationship with each other. And I was like, interesting. And it went on. And so yeah, it's just fun to play with and to see the patterns, like I said, like with life path 3. Fascinating to see the patterns and the really like the same pattern, like the issues in each of those relationships that really pushed me to grow, basically the same. So it's like, here's my brother who is only 11 months younger than me, and he's provoking this certain healing in me just through our natural relationship. And he was only able to provoke that healing because he and I were so close. Like, he was everything to me. He was like my whole world was like on him. We're so close in age. And the breaking apart of that relationship caused massive healing. And that was like when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Basically, when he went to school, when our younger two brothers were like old enough to follow him around everywhere he could go. Yeah, like he really wasn't like right there with me anymore. And that like rocked my world. And I realized at that age, 4, 5, 6 years old, that like I had been my whole life was defined around him and looking at him and taking care of him and making sure he's happy and having fun and like what's he doing and engaging him and like just being there for him. So when he was gone, I had no identity left. And that was alarming. I was 5 and I was alarmed at how little identity I had without him. So to see that, like, the universe gave me a life path 3, born into the same family 11 months after I was, and we grew up like that. And then I hadn't, really worked through all of that at age 5, shocking. So then here's my childhood best friend that we're on again, off again, because we would get so close that we were basically like probably codependent, and then it would implode. And so we wouldn't be friends for a while, and then we would do it again. And so, like, there's my childhood best friend, a life path 3. Interesting. And then I'm like late 20s, apparently still haven't worked through it. And then here's my other friend that, that relationship, it got so close that I think it really did fall into that phase of like codependent. And to get myself out of it, I cut off the relationship. So, yeah, it's fascinating to see that, like, my karmic patterns of relationship with all of these life path 3s, it has this cycle of like getting so close together that I lose my individual sense of self to them, and it implodes, like it basically suffocates them and they push away from me. And that cycle has happened so many times. And it's like, again, there will be plenty more of this on the Life Path 6 episode, but it's such a revelation is the word that's coming to me. It's such a relief. It makes so much sense. Like these dots are connecting that, like, I've been learning this lesson this last year of having plants that honestly, it's easier to kill a plant by over nurturing it than under nurturing it. A plant is more likely to survive if you under nurture the plant. It is giving it a better chance if you under nurture the plant. Like if you starve it, if you like deprive it of water, if you deprive it of what it needs, it will still survive to a point. But if you over nurture a plant, you'll kill it almost immediately. And my plants have really, really like crystallized that understanding for me this last year. And so I've been trying to put that understanding into words. And then today reading Life Path 6, like that's basically what it says, is that one of your like lessons or challenges in this life is to learn the difference between helping people, which is what I'm born to do, and smothering them or overbearing on them or interfering in their life or their own ability to make their own decisions in their life. And that's kind of the point of a Life Path 3, which I'm just kind of putting this together, is like they are all about freedom and freedom of self-expression and creativity and creative expression and all of these things. And when you have somebody being overbearing on you, you can't help but push away from them because you need that freedom of expression to do what you were born to do. So maybe it's not so shocking that, like, I have this pattern with this other type that, yeah, we get reeled into each other, and then it just, yeah, it doesn't work out when you don't have those boundaries of like how much are you wanting to engage together. And I've had to learn, like, it's so funny to see it put into this context of a Life Path 6, but one of the main things that I've had to learn is like how to have those boundaries around how much you care for other people. Because when I've lost my identity in a relationship, whether it be, romantic or friendship or whatever, I sacrifice my own identity, and then I am my nurturing of the relationship, and then the relationship goes away or whatever. Life happens and changes happen, and now that relationship isn't there. And now I've lost my entire identity. Like I said, the first time it happened was my brother going to school at 5, and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? My whole life was him. And now he doesn't want me anymore. He doesn't have like any time in the day for his sister. And I had to learn how to like move on and redefine myself, without this relationship, which was my whole identity. And so at this point, just as a preview, like basically knowing that is kind of the arch of, or the arc of life path 6, is that you're learning this differentiation between helping and smothering. um and so the key to balance in this is to learn how to nurture yourself, and to focus first and foremost on nurturing yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to give back to yourself, creating that identity that is your nurturing of yourself, and letting that be the core identity, the stable part, the secure part, the part that you know is never going to change. You build this relationship, you cultivate this relationship with yourself, and let your identity come from there. And then it, like that nurturing process of caring for yourself, generates so much energy. And we were born to nurture. Life path 6, like we were born to take care of other people, and to lift up the weak, and to attract resources on behalf of those who don't have them, and to create things that serve the highest good of the whole world. Like life path 6, man, like it's so cool. And that's where, it really was like a slap in the face a little bit, to be like, whoa, like I was like falling in love with life path 6. I still am. um oh, there's a really pretty yellow butterfly outside my window. Anyways, it was a big one. So I'm falling in love with life path 6, and then I see that my cousin, who I feel like we butt heads, he's also a life path 6. And I'm like, whoa, maybe we have way more in common than not in common, Like it just felt like this moment of like relief, and kind of setting down this burden, and be like, maybe we can just rest on this common ground of like, we have such similar value systems. We want to be of service. We need to be of service. We were born to be of service. Let that common ground serve the entire relationship. So when I lay down this foundation of like what a life path is, it is like huge. It feels like huge information. And once again, we are swimming in the realm of, you can learn all of this online for free. Like you can Google, I'm going to give you some links in the description box. You've probably already seen them if you've read that. On how to go get this information for yourself. Because like I said, all you need is the birth date, the full month, full month, day, and year. And you can pull a person's life path number. And so fun to like pull, everybody that's close up to you in your life, and see if there are any of these karmic patterns where it's always a life path 3 pushing you to a certain breaking point, and your relationships with the 7s are pretty similar. You're running into similar issues of communication issues and blocks, and like we're just speaking a different language sometimes, like I don't even know what that's about. But as I look at the list of life path 7s, I'm like, whoa, interesting that is the similar problem that I have in all of these relationships. So it feels like, once again, it feels like this whole pile of information that can set us up for success, that can set us up for empowerment, and taking responsibility of the karmic patterns around our soul, And it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg, the cart before the horse. Like, we're born with our life path number. And then our life happens. It unfolds before us. But like the life path number was there first. So it is like really helpful to understand the themes of your life path number so that you can start to tie together some of the lessons that you've been faced with. Because when we're talking in the realm of lessons, a lot of times, like those are the hard things. Those are the challenges. Those are the breaking points. Those are the, like, we just didn't do it right. We didn't know how to do it. We burnt ourselves out, or we, whatever the case was. And the hard times. And as I look through my life path number and read through, like, here are the challenges that a life path 6 is going to face. And I'm like, wow, that's literally everything. Like, underpinning like 90% of my life is this theme of learning not to smother things I love. That, like, have you ever seen Tommy Boy? The scene where they're in the restaurant and he's talking about how like he kills his sales. He's like, and then he like grabs the roll and he's like, my sale is like my pet and I love my little pet. Oh, you're a cute pet. You're cute. You're naughty. You're so naughty. And I love my pet and I stroke it and I snuggle it and then I go and the roll is like falled apart and dripping onto the table. And I really resonate with that. I feel like that's like the karmic lesson of a life path 6. Which is just like, I've always resonated with that scene from the very first time I saw it. I resonate with Tommy Boy in general. He has such a good heart, but he just like falls down all the time. And that's, again, I resonate with that character. But anyways, yeah, it's very helpful to understand these themes in context where the articles, they don't just leave you with like, yep, here's the problems you're going to face. It's like, no, here's how you create balance. Here's how you transcend those hurdles. To get up over those issues, you have to learn this. And every life path number comes with that. And so seeing that, yeah, my goal is to not smother the things I love. And to combat that, all I have to do is learn how to love myself. And if I learn how to love myself and take proper care of myself, then I will naturally be in harmony and balance with my loved ones and able to provide an even higher quality of care because I'll be freed up to flow with my intuition in taking care of their needs and supporting them. So it gives you kind of, here are the things that your soul is going to go through to grow, and here are some keys that you can practice to help make that path more productive and less beating up on you for no good reason. Because I definitely spent some time there. Some of these lessons, like what it talked about, that a life path 6 is going to have to face, I definitely remember 10, 15 years ago going through some of those things and thinking like, poor, pitiful me. Why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? Why do I have to be the one? And like, that was me kind of trying to box and punch my life lessons like in the face instead of like hugging them and integrating them and like learning from them and studying them and witnessing them and observing and seeing, how can I get better through this experience, which is where I'm at now, which is great. So wherever you are on that path, just know that all is well, and that life path numbers are one more tool that we can use to understand ourselves and what is the point of our unique lifetime. This is kind of like one of the, well, here, let me give you 24 minutes in, let me go ahead and give you a definition of a life path number. One definition, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of links in the description of this episode. If you want to go dive in, I've provided a great starting point. If you want to jump straight to the calculator and start pulling life path numbers, you do that too. So whatever works for you. The first definition is the life path number is similar to your astrological sun sign. It reveals your greater purpose, including strengths, weaknesses, talents, and ambitions. Your life path number also exposes the tone of your experiences and why events occur past, present, and future. Simply put, it's the method to the madness. And that is absolutely resonant as far as how I felt today learning about Life Path 6 and Life Path 3 for that matter. The second definition I saw, it provides you with your optimal expression and also what your tendencies and obstacles will be. In other words, this number can tell you a lot about your personality, but possibly more importantly, it suggests what your life's greater purpose is. So that's very cool. Life Path Calculator, look for that link in the description. All you need is the month, the day, and the year of the person's birthday, and you can pull their life path number. I'm also linking a video report tool where, again, you plug in your name and your birth date, and it will give you 3 numbers, not just your life path number. It does give you your life path number, but it also calculates your expression or your destiny number and your soul urge or your heart's desire number. And just to spend a couple minutes going through the differences of these. So our life path number is a factor of our birth date. It adds up the digits of our month, day, and year, and it gives you a number. So that's why just go to the calculator and just fill in your birth date and let it tell you what the birth or what the life path number is. And then the expression destiny number is adding up the digits of your full name at birth. So like my full name at birth was Carly Sue Wharton, and so I typed that in, and it used the Pythagorean alphabet, I think I'm saying that right, where basically there are only 3 rows of numbers, so the numbers still only go like 0 to 9, I think, and then it says like A, B, C, D, and anyway, so it shows you this in the video. It shows you what it's doing, but again, let the tool do it for you. This would take forever to try to do it yourself. But anyway, so it adds up all the numbers of your name at birth, and that's your expression number. And then your soul urge number is adding up the digits of your full name at birth, but only using the vowels. And I'm gonna let you go to the video tool to hear their full explanation of the difference between the consonants, the energy of the consonants, and the energy of the vowels. It was I'm like never heard that before, but that was very cool. So yeah, soul urge is when you add up all the vowels in your full name at birth. And so now you have 3 different numbers, and there's a numerology explanation of all of these numbers. So once you got your, the video tool itself, it is a personalized video report. So it's going to talk through, I think the whole thing ended up being like 10 minutes long, but it's going to talk through all 3 of those numbers, and it uses your number to give you like, here's what I know about you because this is your number. And so like mine was like, okay, yeah, that's spot on enough that I need to come make an episode about it so you guys can try it for yourselves. So yeah, this was so fun this morning. This ate up like a solid 6 hours of my morning so far. And now I'm on here making an episode about it because this just feels like unlocking yet another powerful resource that is completely free. There's so many people out there who like have this stigma of not being able to afford personal development. And I guess it's not a surprise that as a Life Path 6, I feel very passionate about putting free resources in the hands of anyone who is willing to spend the time to use them. The only thing that this costs you is your time. And yeah, I mean, that's a whole different conversation than I don't have the money to improve myself, because we all have time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And what we choose to do with it is an expression of our soul. So I guess like spending 6 hours today, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy that I spent that time, invested that time. I don't view it as spending it. I view it as investing it in myself, in my path of understanding my soul and living my purpose with more clarity. This was a huge step forward. So highly, highly, highly recommend you spend some time with the resources in the description box and kind of study your own. If you happen to be a Life Path 6, go ahead and check out the next episode. And I will do my best to come back and do an individual episode for each life path number. I can tell you right now off the top of my head, the one I'm going to next is life path 3, because I very clearly have some karmic things to work out there. So more to come on those individual episodes. And I think that's good. I think that's a good foundation for this beginning of the conversation. And I thank you for listening, dear friends. I thank the universe for aligning this day for me to learn these things and for me to come on here and share the wealth, share the information, and put the tools in your hands so that you have access to this powerful information, same as I do. So I hope you run with it, dear friend. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take such good care of yourselves. And so